So then you have ones which we have normally are important, or they're not as important. Now some of them, you would normally call these more strategic and operational. Ops. Or operational. Okay? So understand? So you have, now some of you have already seen this type of, okay? Seen this type of, these types of axes, but we're going to take it to another level here when you turn up a TRT, okay? So when you turn up a TRT, usually, where do you think you stand? What happens? So you're doing more not urgent, urgent, strategic, or what are more of the challenges you come up with, the jobs you got to do? Okay, so actually I'm going to make it easier for some of you, but we also use the word, and it'll be easier for you, if it's important, okay, and not important, okay? Okay, you got that? All right. So there are things that have come that are urgent, not urgent, important. When you come to TRT, where would you fit onto this graph normally? Where do you fit? Where do you land? Like, okay, I didn't think you guys got it, but what normally happens when you come in, especially as a team leader, you'll come in and then everything's important and everything's urgent. Yeah, okay, you get that, right? So normally that. So what happens is you land right here. Okay? And this is what's referred to as the quadrant of crises. Okay? This is what happens when you come in and you get recruited. Okay? So this is the quadrant of crises. Everything's, you land and everything's urgent, we need all this done, but they've got all these other problems that we've got to solve as well. Okay, so you land there. Okay? Where do you think you want to be? Quadrant, which one?
Quadrant.
This one? Yeah. Quadrant 1. Okay. So you want to be here, right? Excuse me. It's not enough. Here is where you're dealing with strategic matters, and there's nothing that's urgent, right? You want to be managing the situation ahead of the curve rather than behind the curve and reacting, right? So this is called the quadrant, what's called the optimal quadrant. Okay? So, what do you think? You move from here. Is that how you move?
No.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
Because what happens is, all these things are happening that are pushing you down towards the urgent matters are coming in. Okay, so what happens is things start pushing you down. So imagine you're on a boat, and you want to get to here. This is your destination, but all the current and all the wind is pushing you down here. Okay, because all the urgent matters are coming up. We've got to do this, we've got to do that, do this and do that, right? So what do we call this quadrant? Someone knows it, okay? So this is called the quadrant of delusion. Okay? So this is where you think that you're busy and you're doing all this work and you're working all this time and no one's appreciating you, especially Domenic. Because what I'm doing is I'm over here going, I'm over here, and you're like, I'm working hard, and you're like, I'm over here, you gotta come here, and you're like, fuck, I'm working hard, right? So this really happens, mate. This bastard doesn't appreciate me, he's just yelling at me the whole fucking time, right? And so this is, we call this probation. Okay, so you come in on probation, right? So you're working hard, I'm trying hard, right? And I'm over here, like I hate that bastard. So what happens? He doesn't appreciate, because I'm trying to get you to also do important things. Right? So what happens when you get down here? So this is called resignation. Right? You're like, fuck him, seen him throw a table, he almost hit me, and I'm out of here, right? So then there's resignation, because I'm up here going, these are the important things to do. You've got to keep your eye up. I am aware of that, but you've got to keep your eye up. So to get here, all right, to get here, what you have to do, to get here, what you have to do is, yes, you have to go down, okay? You've got to go with the current a bit, but you've got to tack up. Every now and then when you get a chance, you've got to keep looking at what you need to do strategically, the things you need to be working on. Then it'll pull you back down. Then you've got to go back up. It isn't linear. Back down, back up, like that. Eventually you get to those sort of positions, right? Here you come into this quadrant of delusion, right? Now, we'll talk quickly about this one where you're dealing with, so these are people, just quickly, it's called the quadrant of distraction. Otherwise known as when you start fighting each other, when you start utang na loob, when you start marites, all that shit, all right? So this leads to, anyone know? Termination. Okay, so let's not worry about that, right? But just so you know, okay? And this optimal quadrant is what leads you to promotion. Okay? And the way this model then goes is, this is about your position, right? But then you've got to think about it like this. There's not a whiteboard big enough in the world for me, right? So what happens here is, what should happen is, there should be another thing, right? So when you promote here, then you're back down here. You keep doing the same job, and you're like, I'm doing the same job, I was good, and this is when you get promoted, and then fucking you end up here again, if you're not careful. You get it? So it goes like punk, 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 right? And those are the people that can understand that. All right? So what you need to do, and this works the other way too, if you want the promotion, right, start doing the things that your boss is doing down here, that he's going to get his ass kicked on the way out. Do you understand? You get what I mean? Okay, so this works, so this is how you work to it, okay? And it's important to know when to delegate tasks, when to dump them, sometimes not focus on them at all, when to delegate, document them, these sort of things. It's important to be able to get here that you have to be documenting, because if you can't get here if you don't let go of the urgent stuff, but you can't pretend it's not there. So you have to deal with it, and when you get open chances, then you jump yourself up. Do you understand? So, but if you're just working hard, I'm working more and more and more, and that's fine. But there is no, if you're not delegating to making your job better or doing these important strategic things in your job, you're not going anywhere. Okay, now most of you, how many of you here less than 6 months? Put up your hands. Yes, there's a few, right? There's a few. Okay, so anyway, so being here, so less than 6 months. So you're still in this process of this, but you need to understand that. Okay, those of you that are team leaders, it's very important that you've got to be working on the team, not in the team. And we've talked about that. Jules has definitely worked towards that. Okay, so please, do you have any questions or situations or? No? Again, when you're a sales rep, for those that are sales reps, okay, spend your time on the opportunities that are real, okay, and qualify the BDAs as well. Look for new business opportunities. Look at ways that you can automate, standardize what you're doing, okay? So there's no questions? Pretty straightforward? Okay, great. Thank you very much.